All right, everybody, we are back again live with the brother amenkrahh. This is Dynasty Mirror Search for Uhuru. And today's topic, this morning's topic, is how life would be in modern Africa for Black Americans. Now, amenkrahh, did you hear about the case in Dallas recently?
There was a shooting. A policeman shot somebody unnecessarily, or what was it?
Listen. Went into the wrong apartment on the wrong floor.
Wrong apartment, yeah.
Thinking that that was hers. Went in and killed the guy.
Yeah, I heard about. I heard the statement in there, but I looked for it, but I didn't find what the details were. But like I said, these type of incidents are going to continue. Yeah, I've been telling you. Yeah. So it's unfortunate, but it just goes to show how we are thought of, and not even how we're treated. But before you can treat someone badly, you have to think of them, in such a way where they're either subhuman or not human, or they deserve to be, or they're valueless. So this kind of thing has been in the U.S. for many decades, many almost over 100 years. We go back to Jim Crow; it's even longer than that. It's nothing new.
So, for people who, I guess, want to think that it's going to get better, or it's going to improve, like, what will be your response to that?
No, if you have to be able to follow history. A lot of the people, you young guys here today, you're seeing and experiencing this thing for the first time, and you're trying to rationalize in a world that is full of propaganda. So it's not going to be easy for you. Now, when you get to be my age, with the level of experience that I have, you can see, I can see where you're going, but you can't see where you're going, because I've been there. You see, you've not been there yet. So when you come up to your, like, I guess you're in your 30s, by the time you get into your 60s, you start looking back in your life, and by that time you come to realize how much of your life has been in struggle, as opposed to how much of your life has in peace of mind, satisfaction in life, progression of life, giver and nurturer of life. We're really at the point where you're not even able to nurture. Black men are not even able to raise their own sons. If you're in an economy where you have to work two jobs, then you don't have time to raise your children. You don't even have values beyond your workplace to give your children. You see? So, maybe they got a policy at your job that you're not supposed to wear shoes in the toilet. So you come home to your child, you go teach your child don't wear shoes in the toilet. You don't have anything that's concrete, because so many of the people today were raised by single parents. And I don't mean like, you didn't have a father or a mother. I mean, you didn't have but maybe one to raise you, or even less, neither one of those two were able to spend the time with you and had the knowledge of what to give you on raising you. So they depended a lot on the public school system, and then there you go. You're a Negro. Clue of what your purpose in life is, except to make money. And this is a capitalistic idea, and forms a rat race, and do anything, and then you'll see that they're going to push you to the side. And hopefully you might have some money saved, and if not, then the cost of living is as such that if you can't live off Social Security or even some small job benefit the way you could 20-30 years ago. So it's a shame, and it doesn't have to be that way, because modern Africa.
All right, guys, let's get the lights up. Please hit that like button as you come to the chat room. Shout out to Hold Up. Thank you for the super chat. And hold up, I'll be in New York on the 26th. We got to grab lunch or something, brother. The 26th or the 27th, I'm coming to New York. So we got to link up. Now, someone in the chat room wants to know, can you please define what is modern Africa?
The famous chat room. I really wish I could get in there and talk back and forth with you guys, but unfortunately I'm just on this one computer. But please ask your questions, and Dinus, please give out the questions that they ask, because I think that's the only way we can move forward beyond all the nonsense and bullshit. So what did I mean by modern Africa? Okay, I always say modern Africa as opposed to just Africa, because what the propagandists do is they lump all of Africa together, and then it has a negative connotation to it. In fact, when we even speak of Africa, we have that, it's got that bad aftertaste in your mouth like thing, where it's got a lot of negative connotations to it. So when I say modern Africa, it kind of makes it separate itself from the regular Africa that we think we know. And what modern Africa is simply the urban areas of Africa, not the rural areas. There are more Africans living in the rural area than there are in the major cities. Now, of course, the same way it was in the U.S. in the Western day in the old days, and then they had the Western migration. Most of the people that lived in the rural areas and in the cities now moved up to the point where it turned around, where now everybody is living in the city. Very few people are living in the country, in the United States. So that's what I mean by modern Africa. I mean, you step off the plane and you really, unless somebody didn't tell you, you would think you were in any other city, USA, except the fact that everybody would be black. So, you'd not find no white policemen in an African city. You won't find really white government officials. So you see that issue of the Caucasian is removed from the equation. So when I say modern Africa, I'm basically talking about everything that's dealing with the life as most Black Americans know, city life.
So Amenkrahh, we have a couple questions, and we've covered this before. People want to know basically, how can they make a living if they were to come to Kenya, a place like Kenya? Are there any job opportunities? Or the suggestion I gave is come with an entrepreneur mindset. What will be your response to that, since you've been in Kenya now almost 30 years?
You cannot get that out your mind. If you got a job in the United States and you've never been on, you've always worked for a living at working for someone else, better stay in the U.S. Bring in, you got a job, and everywhere, you got a resume. You worked at this place, you worked at Arby's, you worked at whatever the place you worked at. That's your resume. Stay there. Stay there.
You said Arby's.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm saying, stay there, or Trader Joe's, like the guy on the Bill Cosby show. What's his face? His boyfriend. So stay there. Yeah, live out your life, and don't even think about it, because the African is not a joker. He's not a joker here. They say that some of them are lazy, but the people ain't joking. When it comes time to go to work, they're working. They're really working. So it's not like in America, because you'll go here and then you work for someone, and at 5 o'clock you think it's time to go home. No. They'll work 12 hours a day. There's no overtime pay for most of these, So I mean, an African type job. Now they have jobs here for expats and Americans here, if you're lucky to get them. But those are not really secure jobs. You're working for an NGO somewhere. They're going to pay you really good, and if you can get that, then you really be in heaven, because you'd make American money and you'd be living like the high life here. But if you're got a job and you want to leave that job and come and work in the same type of job, there's no way you're going to get things of comparing. You're going to get here, Africa, you're going to compare everything with the United States. And because you're partial to the U.S., the comparison is always with Africa is always going to lose. You're going to favor the U. I see it all the time. You're favoring, everything has got to be U.S. standards. But the thing about me is I know the standards. I know that I know there are houses in the U.S. people don't have hot water. So you come here and you find no hot water, you start complaining. But that doesn't mean that there's no hot water in houses in Africa. It's just that you lean towards the U.S.'s concept, and you'll be favoring the U.S. even unconsciously, subconsciously. You'll still be favoring the U.S. And the point is, your Africa is not America. You have to remember that the history. You got to realize that the ancient ruins in Africa all predate the ancient ruins in Rome. And Rome was the biggest civilization. They copied everything from the African. So when you see Africans having big tall buildings here, and you go, okay, that's not the way. U.S. is the ones that did it, or Europe is the one that started it. That's not true. They actually stole the architect designs from us. And what you see in the cities in Europe and America are their best models, keeping in the fact that the Library of Congress or Washington, all of Washington was designed by an African. Uh, you have to come and see that the African is not really trying to model the European design. He is simply following the best he can the design that they stole from Africa. And in the next 30 years or so, you will see, and you can see it today because there are beautiful buildings that African architects have designed on purposely making sure that it is not from European design, it's distinctly African. And you'll see more of that in the future. But you cannot come here talking about a job because you're going to compare, and Africa is going to lose because Africa is still developing. America is 200, 300, some 400 some years old. It had a lot of time, and you see all of those because when I was coming in, when I was working in corporate America, I had double time on Sunday and time and a half on Saturday. All these things are going because the American model was not functionable. You see, they did it, they had it, but you see nowadays it's all not there anymore, and you really got to work more jobs. Where in Africa it's changing. What you can do as a person who has a job, you may not never come to stay and work here and be satisfied. But what you can do is you have children, and your children can be better educated in Africa. What they have here is called boarding schools. The majority of African students in Kenya and most modern, the parents put their kids in boarding school after the 8th grade. So they go and they live in these boarding schools. And I was against it when I first heard about it, but now I'm really pro. I can't wait for my kids to get older enough and get the hell out of my house and go to boarding school. And they, at that age, believe it or not, they don't want to be with me. In that teenage years where you just don't get along with your kids, that's the time when they should be shipped out so they can start living. They want to live and be independent. Sure, let them go right there to the boarding school when they got to wash their own clothes and they got to do, it's like a job. And when they come back to you, they're fully adults. And it's a beautiful thing because, you get tired and you don't have to be feeding them every day, worry about where they at night. So you can skip all of that because the boarding school retrieves it. Takes care of that. So, like I said, boarding school has been in Kenya for the same way it is in Britain. They just follow that same model. So you could send your kids to Africa, put them, work out the deals with the boarding school. They get international students all the time. And you'll find that it's cheaper for you to have them in boarding school, even with the price of the plane ticket to take them. They're there and be taken care of well. They can develop friends, African friends, and when they get out of school, for them to make the transition to Africa where you couldn't, it'd be better. Now, what would happen from there? They would come into Africa right at a beautiful time when it's developing. If they can get into the model of Africa and they can work and they can build up businesses, you'll find that when you're older towards retirement, your children are grown and living in Africa, they're gonna send you a plane ticket and tell you, come on, mom. And you go there and you relax under the beautiful weather, your last day, being old and gray in the United States, where the young people treat you like shit. They don't even, you be on the bus, you 50, 60 years old, and the kid is sitting in the bus, won't even give you the seat. You see? And you're walking around the streets, and all these kids are running around with tattoos all over, smoking cigarettes. You don't even know. They don't have a problem with pulling a gun on you when they see that you're too old. This type of thing is unheard of in Africa. As a senior person like me, you see, I wear this gray, and I love it because I get too much respect. If I'm not called Baba by every young person, I'm called Uncle or Mzee. So you see, the whole way it's supposed to be for us is here in Africa. And if you can't get up the courage, or if you don't have the sense of adventure, or you don't have the nerve to be able to move away from the American life, think about your children. Think about your children. That could just as easily be your child in that Dallas apartment watching someone else get shot, or for heaven forbid, they get shot. And that's rare. I'm gonna have to say it's really rare that people get shot. That's true. It's not like everybody gets shot every day. It's a small percentage, of course, but the percentage of young people who are being overly charged for misdemeanors and things that are turning into felonies is ridiculous. The prisons are filling up, even though the crime rate in America is at its lowest point. Now you tell me, is it? I mean, as a parent, can you imagine your child? There are parents who got children locked up in jail, and you tired, you got to go work, and you can't decide if you can go see your child or not, or or miss work and not be paid for that day or whatever, threat to lose your job. Every young person, 20, 25 years old, they have parents. These ones in prison, they're in prison and they have parents. These parents are in depression mode. They got a job, like you might have a job, and then they're sitting there, don't know what to do, because it's like, you don't have a child. You put your future in your children, hoping they're going to take care of you when they get older, but what are they? They're in prison. So there you go. And it's a shame.
Shout out to Shauna T for the super chat. Shout out to Nadoop. Miss Ruby wants to know what can someone with a pension do in a place like Kenya who's receiving a pension?
Oh my God! If you go visit my Black Man's Guide group site on Facebook, I just put a picture there with my good friend Francesca Porter. I can call her out. You can search her on Facebook, because she told me she didn't mind if I told people about her story. And she's 70, I think 73, 74 years old, a retired school teacher from California, Fullerton. And she's been living in Kenya 11 years now. And I've been blessed to know her most of that time. And I used to go to her house regularly. And yesterday, she cooks hamburgers, really good hamburgers, not like In-N-Out burgers or burgers back home, but she makes nice burgers, and we sit and she tells me so many stories, and it's just a wonderful time to be with her. She, she told me, well, I won't say all her stories, but it's just wonderful. Now she's living off of a teacher's pension, and she lives in a 2-bedroom house, luxury apartment. She has a Toyota Corolla that she drives around, and big screen TV,
Real quick. Hold on one second, Grandmaster. Guys, can we please get the likes up? Just all I ask, if you're not super chatting, hit the like button and share if you're not super chatting. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, so I look at her life as a model of what you can do if you're on a pension. Like if you're on a pension, Social Security, or you're on, and even people that are not on Social Security should listen to me, because it's going to come up one day for you. If you're on a pension, you can do things. You can buy a home. You can or you have a bit of a retirement fund. When you transfer that money into Kenyan money, oh my goodness, you come to realize that you can, where you living in a one bedroom house in some low class part of town, you can live in the high class part of town and have a bigger apartment because of the money. You have to look at the value of money when it comes to uh, making a switch from the U.S. to I'm gonna say Kenya, uh, because the the money goes a lot further. It's much uh, cheaper to live in an modern African city than it is to live in the United States, especially these days. If you're coming from the West Coast, where rents are really ridiculous, driving people to go back to the South in California, they raising taxes, and black community has disappeared. It's just ridiculous. And many blacks have already migrated back to the South, and you go there, and then you have to deal with the weather changes. You have to deal with the different type of personality of the brothers that are living in the South, and amongst other things. I'm talking about people that's coming from the West, which was like the best that you used to have. Uh, it's just you might as well have moved to Africa. You would have been far better off. Your money would have went a lot further if you're on a pension. Definitely, you need to move if you're in a pension, you need to move your ass over to Africa. All the TV channels you like is there. If you want to talk to your family members, you can video Skype them, not video Skype, but video them on Facebook or YouTube in a minute. If you need help, I can help. Francesca gets on her phone, sits there, and talks with her family. She has a large family all through the United States, and she can tell me, this is what's happening with my son. This is what my other son is doing. This, my sister is doing this. You see, I talked to my brother the other day, ABC. She's doing all this on the internet. And when I came, there was no such a thing as the internet. So it was very difficult for me to talk to my family. But today, it's like a boring thing. I mean, wow. I decided to call family member. I'm like, I can see that there's nothing that they can tell me. Get me? And 9 times out of 10, when you're dealing with family, be truthful. It's really nothing that you're going to talk about it, because she work at one job and you work at another job. You guys ain't in business together, so it's just like, hey girl, how you doing? I'm fine. How's you? Did you know Mabel down the street? Blah blah. It's just gossip. So you can do that online. Meanwhile, when you wake up in the morning, it's a beautiful sunny day all day long and all year round, and you have beautiful people that are not looking at you sideways or trying to outdo you, or family members that are ignoring you. You see, so definitely, if you're on a pension in the United States and you're black, it would behoove you to move quickly as possible, get your things in order, and move to Kenya. I guarantee you, I can just guarantee you like this. I guarantee you, if you did so, you would not want to go back to the United States. It's just that I know that you have a lifetime of habits that are ingrained in you. That'd be a total fear. But you have to remember, white people are doing this all the time. So when you want to transfer your money to an African bank, there's no problem. Your bankers are people that's moving. You see, that happens all the time. So it is no big deal. Your money can come out of the ATM in US dollars or in Kenya shillings if you want. Now, you can also move to Ghana. It's smaller. There's more Black Americans there. And since you got a pension, it's really, but you know, you can move around, but it's not as big, and you don't have as many variety. Like if you want to go to a really nice restaurant, if you were in Ghana, you might have 2 or 3. But if you're in Kenya, you probably got like 50 different restaurants you could. If you wanted to travel by train and go to nice first class train ride, across the national park where you can see elephants and giraffes while you're on the train. You can't get that in Ghana. Well, you can't get that in any country but Kenya. You wanted to visit the largest lake and get freshwater fish from Lake Victoria, the largest lake in Africa, you can do that. You wanted to visit the Nile River, you can do that here. You see, you wanted to visit the second highest mountain in the world, you right there in Kenya and Tanzania is there. So you live your life in the smog and dirtiness of the U.S. Come live your life in final days in a beautiful African country, and let that be a part of your life legacy. You deserve it after all you've done in the United States. If you're on pension, and do yourself that favor. And I'll be glad to assist you where I can. Okay.
Hey,
Nice.
well, I got to disagree with you on one thing on the wall. There's more than 3 nice restaurants in Accra. So that's one. But number two,
I secretly hate Ghana.
okay, all right, okay. And then also too, someone wants to know about how much does your internet run for you, and how fast is it?
We got 4G. Okay, like now we've been Dennis and I have been having this issue with the internet. I think it's my machine because today we're okay.
Yeah, we're good today.
We're okay now. Yeah, I think it's the machine because I noticed that when I was talking loud, that's when the machine started distorting. And I used this one for another type of topic show, and it worked beautifully. So I think it's the sound system on this camera on this computer that I'm using, maybe. But anyway, I use Safaricom. There's two major U.S. Internet service providers, Safaricom and Airtel. And I get 2 GB a day for 24 hours for 100 shillings, which is like 10 shillings in the US. So I mean 10 cents. I think, yeah, 10 cents.
Okay.
Yeah, 10 cents, yeah, a day for 2 GB. And I download movies towards the end and give them to my children. They can watch cartoons like that off the YouTube. But very inexpensive compared to what you guys have in the US. And then international calls are almost the same price as regular calls here. So I can call home and talk for an hour, 2 hours, and maybe spend about $1 or $2. So you won't have issue of there are all kind of payment plans here in Safaricom, and they're always giving away deals. It's not that is not an issue. Internet is everywhere. I'm traveling tonight from Mombasa to Nairobi. I can talk on the phone all the whole distance, even through the national park network. So, and that it is not like you go someplace and there's no network unless you're far outside. Now, if you're in a modern city, definitely you're going to have internet the whole day. Many people, businesses, totally depend on having internet, so that it's just like the U.S. You're going to always have it.
All right. And then
Dennis.
Someone wants to know how can someone help the children out with their pension? Help children get to Africa with their pension. Shout out to Ruby for the super chat. What can people coming with their pitching? What can people coming with their pitching can do to help young people come to Africa?
I'm not getting it. I'm not understanding the question correctly. Can you
reword
really that one?
It's, I guess, Miss Williams, buy them a ticket. I mean, I don't know the other.
If they want to bring children for schooling in Africa,
I don't know, but I'm just thinking. I guess I would just say save the money and buy a ticket.
Okay. Yeah, you see, in the United States, you have very high daycare, and private schools are pretty expensive. And then the public school educational system is like really crowded in some places, and then the teachers are underpaid. They're just going on strike every which way. Standards are really going down. So first of all, it would get a higher standard of education with their children coming to an African school. And then second of all, you would get a better disciplined child coming out of here. They would know self-respect. They would know respect here. and dealing with I deal with children with primary school children every day, and they're just a joy. You know, they're just a joy. You don't find gang members sick, retarded. You know, what's it called, ASSD, LSD,
HD.
that one. Yeah, and then the
Something like that. ADD, something like that. Yeah, something like
yeah,
that.
ADHD. They got the D and they got the HD. The HD one is for hyper kids, and you know they got that all figured out, so they can make more money off of the students. And they're putting a lot of black students are being diagnosed as that way, so the school can get more money, and then the child never learns how to read. You see, never learns how to comprehend. Now, I'm not saying that they're not students here that don't know how to read and they've been passed up the grades the same way they are in the U.S. and the U.K., but it's a far less number. The majority of the students here are graduating, so you don't get that major dropout rate that you have with blacks in the United States. And you know, when African students believe in modeling themselves after their fellow students, so when one knows how to read, the other one will know how to read. So yeah, but as far as bringing your child to go to school here, and you would think I could never let my child leave me. You need to rethink that. I don't know. I don't have time to really get into it today. I would, you know, it'd be hard to put your child on an airplane into a strange land. It's not like that. People are doing this all the time, and the boarding schools here are catered for that. They get international students all the time, so they know how to give that child a mentor. They know how to keep that child comfortable, and they can give you access to your child anytime you want to talk to them on the telephone. Because really, once they're gone, you might want to call them, and you call them up, and then they get on, "Mom, I'm okay." Or they might go, "Mom, they're making me wash my own clothes. Help me, help me, help me." You know, you got to be like, you know, tough it out. Yeah, and then you get a better product, because it's nothing like they're becoming old and then seeing your children are useless. You know, and they can't even make enough money to take care of themselves, not even help you. You know, and so you're old and tired, and your child, even your children, coming to you at 25, 30, asking you for money. You see, because the system failed them. You know, you got people out here now working 2 jobs because they took a loan out for their children, and nothing has been produced from that. You know, and it's unfortunate because you're falling into that trap. They're laughing at you. Your child got so much college debt that they can never get out of it, and they can't get a job. You know, I just give the example of Dr. Frances Cresswell. Not Dr. Frances Cresswell. No, Dr. Barbara Sizemore. Google Dr. Barbara. She was a great educator in Chicago, and she had her 2 sons, and one was a PhD, and he couldn't get a job. And she was the champion of black education back in the day. Her and Jawanza Junkufu, they were, and they're today they're just quiet because the system has brought them to their knees, and it has failed them. Dr. Barbara Sizemore died watching her son that she believed in education so much put him through, and he died not never seeing her son have a job. You know, so but she was telling me that she was talking on her show before she died. She was talking about how they were distinguishing, giving students jobs that came out of college by their name, and like she was saying, like Cindy Weatherford, she would be given jobs. They would give her interviews, but when Ricky Washington name came up, he couldn't get no jobs, and this is because this thing is still going on today. They're biased, and they're really whites are still supporting each other by economically depriving blacks of the same opportunities. And you think it's you, and it's not you. You're in a country that don't want you to that want to keep you down economically. They'll let you mop their floors. They'll even let you cook their food. But when you get beyond that point to where you start talking about technical, jobs and management jobs, very few of us are getting there. You see, and if we are getting there, it's because we would settle for a lot less money than what our white counterpart would would do for the job. So would pay. So they put you in a position to save you money off of you, and they know you're gonna work 3 times harder for that to stay in that job, even cut your throats of your own fellow black employees. People know what I'm talking about. Right now, America is in such a bad situation. If your employer told you you're fired unless you murder this guy, you'd actually contemplate it for a moment before, because it's a rat race, and you pointing the gun at that employee's head talking about nothing personal. I'm just trying to survive. Boom. Now you see, this goes on. This is going on in the U.S. today. So yeah, you get your children out of that. If they're 14, 15 years old, send them. Find new schools there. So many of them, and explain to what you're about. Do your internet research, and call up the school, talk to the head teacher, and make arrangements for your son to get there. You might be saving that boy's life. You just don't know. Right. But yeah. Okay, Dennis.
Hey, Marshall Morrison said, Africans in America are so connected to America. They are literally scared to imagine living somewhere else. Many of us stay in ghettos in America, and we will rather be there than middle-class Africans. And then Holub System says, shout out to Holub. Does an abused woman ever get accused of running from her abuser if she decides to leave the toxic relationship? Now, this kind of, both questions kind of tie in together. Would you like to respond to that?
Yeah, that's just propaganda. You got a better standard of living in Africa today. That person that's talking about the African life, she's never been to Africa.
Oh, no. I think you misread the question. Africans in America. Africans in America are so connected to America. They are literally scared to imagine living somewhere else. Many of us stay in ghettos in America, and we will rather be there than middle-class Africans. So you have a lot of Black Americans who would rather live in the hood, in the ghetto, get shot in their apartment by police who come to the wrong door thinking it's that their apartment. They'd rather, like you say, up and move to Africa and live a middle-class lifestyle. Does that have to do with Stockholm syndrome, or like Holism says, does an abused woman ever get accused of running from her abuser if she decides to leave the toxic relationship?
Okay. I think that's exactly what I thought you were saying, and I think if I can reword it, I think if I understand you correctly, you're saying that they're saying that living in America is better. Am I right or wrong? Is that what
no. Say that again. Am I wrong?
I'm saying when you break what this person is saying down, are they not saying it's better? Life in America is better than life in Africa, and as a comparison, is that what they're saying?
No. She's saying
connected to
no,
American life.
No, I'm wrong. She's saying that people with a lot of Black people here in America would rather live in the ghetto in America than go live a middle-class lifestyle in Africa. And Holub is saying
and that's only.
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Okay, I get what you're saying. Yeah, and this is the reason why they are accepting that is because it's like a survival mode. You don't worry about what you're going to eat next week. You're only worrying about what you're going to eat today and tomorrow, maybe tomorrow, but right now. And so what they're living in the U.S., that type of lifestyle is a day-to-day lifestyle. I live today, I'll worry about tomorrow when it comes. And tomorrow is always going to come, and it is not really favorable. As opposed to if they had moved and planned ahead and moved to Africa. You see, even if it was talking about move to Mexico or move to Canada, you see, they would have the same mental block. They would have that same mental problem of today I'm eating, so I'm okay. You know, tomorrow I'll worry about that tomorrow. And this is how they're going to live out their life. And most of these people have jobs, and this is the way their minds think. And that's why I'm saying they can forget about coming to Africa. 99% of them will not come. But there are those few like me who were touched, who, when they go around Africa, they're matrix, you know, they're in the matrix, but they can see that they're in the matrix. I'm talking about that individual. I'm trying to help that individual. I'm like Morpheus. I'm trying to help that individual to now get out. You know, you see something wrong, but you can't put your finger on it. But you know something is wrong. Life should not be like this. Something is not right. And if you're coming out of a failed relationship and you have no woman or man special in your life, and you don't see yourself having a male or female special person in your life, then something is wrong. Because the only other thing you have to replace them is with material things. And that is very fleeting. That cannot satisfy you at the end of the day. You know. So there is more to life than the material gain you might be able to get, and because you can establish debt, and the debt keeps you more even trapped where you are. So as I'm talking, very few of us, Dynas, is going to be able to make that trip and get out of the nonsense. And I'm saying that if they can, they should think about their children, because the children surely can surprise them in modern Africa today. And you know,
A shout out to super chat. Thank you, O'Shea, for the super chat as well. Do you think a lot of this mentality has to do with, I guess, Black people in America suffering from battered wife syndrome?
Okay, I'm not saying the connection between a battered wife, because I don't want to keep everything
when I say battered wife syndrome, it's just this idea like, okay, you know, my husband is whooping my ass, but it's gonna get better one day, so I'm not.
I get what you're saying. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the battered wife syndrome. No, I don't believe that. I believe that the problem with us is that we don't realize how much the propaganda is killing us. We don't realize that the United States is not going to give you that movie like Roots, where it can explain to you the difference. I mean, they can give you something like Black Panther, and you run to that because it's in that direction. But Wakanda is an imaginary place, and it doesn't even make sense. What the hell with life, and they were not doing trade with outside people. How was the middle class surviving? You see, if you look at the movie, those are big questions that can't be explained. I've always said that the greatest enemy of the Black man is Western mass media, news, propaganda, entertainment, and sports. Please think about what I'm explaining to you. Every time you turn on the news, you're being indoctrinated with nonsense. You see, what kind of program can they give you that for free at prime time in the evening every night? It is the news. Now, could you imagine why the news is free up to this day? Everything else, even the internet is now charging. Even, you know, you can't even buy movies. You have to buy movies on the internet today, but the news is always free. And it is because every story they put out is designed to get a certain opinion out of you or make you believe in a certain way. When they say, okay, this is what happened in England, this happened to somebody in England, and you're saying to yourself, I'm glad I'm not in England. And BBC is very designed. If you look at BBC, you can just see it's very clear. As a British person, you're listening to the BBC, and the 90% of the shows that come on there are designed to make British look okay. They give you the worst part of that. You're British, you're white, you're sitting in Britain and London, and you're listening to BBC, and you're saying to yourself, damn, they're always killing blacks. The Africans are always killing each other. Damn, I'm glad I don't. I'm pretty much better off here in London than the people in the rest of the world. So I should stay here in London. And this is the point, because the the British population, they jet out of that. They jet out. Ireland was almost destroyed because 90% of the young people, after they get out of college, they leave the country. And this is the case. So the government news program is trying to make you feel like you're better off in London, and the same with the United States. To make you feel like you're superior. You're not superior. You can't come to Africa talking about, I'm a Black American, we got it going on. You people are, you need my help. You think there are Black people that think that the African needs the Black American more than African American needs the African. So they come with so much arrogance. They get here, they get the exchange rate. Now they got a little extra money in their pocket, and they really feel like they can just do Africans any which way. And I told you, brother came in the other day throwing money around, telling me that the African woman should be lucky to get me. I got money, and she ain't got nothing, and I'm giving her away where she can have things, and she don't want to sleep with me. And I'm like, you got the whole thing wrong. You might go keep looking. You might find a few African women that are going to sleep with you and take your money and act any which way you want them to act. But it'll just be an act. And she would too. And at the end of the day, you would not be satisfied with a woman that just wants you for your money. You get what I'm saying? So you gotta realize that you don't have your own mind when you come to talking about Africa. If you've never been here, you don't have your own mind. You have the mind of those people whose articles, newspapers you read and watch. That's why I'm having so much problem with college. The guy can talk all this thing about Africa, but he never been there. See, and you're not gonna get past that point. You can't say what Africans are doing if you don't know this. You see. And as for somebody who lived here, I can see where I would have Africans if I was in America. But being here, I can see how stupid I would sound for trying to talk about Africans and from a keyboard in the United States. Dynasty.
Yeah, I'm right here. So what about people, Black Americans, who are saying, like, hey, I'm not going to go to Africa because Africans are literally dying to get out of Africa? What would be the response to that?
This is old propaganda news. We know that ain't true. Far many, that's not true. The majority of Africans that go to America are going to America because of mass media propaganda, entertainment. They're watching the videos on at home. Even my daughter is guilty of this. She's always telling me, Dad, I just want to go see for myself. I said, why you want to go see? Because I seen on the movies and it's ABC. No, honey, that ain't really America. And she thought I was lying when I told her that there was homeless people in America, until I showed her on the video. And when I was showing her on the video, she was squirming in her seat. Oh, Daddy, no, come on, stop. It's because it has been burned in her mind that she thinks that America is this place that don't have trash on the ground. I have to show her, really tell her, look, you see these two people in the movie that's talking right now? You see all those people that's walking by the street down the road and the cars driving by? Every one of those people are actors and actresses. Those cars driving by are not going anywhere. They're just cars that they put in the movie. And those people in those cars get paid to just drive the car down the road or walk down the street. We're all guilty of this. Get into the fantasy side of it. Americans are easily fantasized. You can easily switch from what you call that show? Damn, I can't think of the show. The one with the family. Dynasty, I think it's something like that.
Dynasty, that's old school.
That's old. Yeah, I know, but it's like Dynasty. If you're old enough, you can just see it's the same thing, only in blackface. But you can go from that to Star Trek. or Star Wars, and you can be okay. You can just distinguish what's fantasy and what's not fantasy. You can just slide in. But the Africans don't like sci-fi movies because they can't get to the point of what the hell is this animal doing speaking English? Why is this guy flying in the air without anything? And it's like that. But when it comes down to like soap operas, the African can relate. So when they put a soap opera on TV and the lady in the show has the newest hairstyle, you see, they go out and copy that hairstyle, and they start wearing it because they saw it on the soap opera. This is how bad the propaganda is distorting our minds. Meanwhile, your everyday life, and this is what this video was supposed to be about, your everyday life in Africa is just right there. It's still going on. And the life is wonderful, simple, and you have a lot more peace of mind, and you have a lot healthier life. And your children are much more respectful. They have more opportunities to get jobs and start businesses in Africa today, in modern Africa today, than they do in not even post-racist America tomorrow. So yeah, there is a real need for especially African American parents or Negro parents to think about their children as far as getting them out of the United States and giving them a worldly view, as opposed to keeping them there and you go through all the hell you've gone through, and then you turn around and you give birth to children, and then you put them right into the same system your parents put you in, and you think it's your fault that you got credit debt and that you working 2 jobs, and that you got fired from your job, or your job is not paying you so much money, or you're being overlooked for promotion, or you have to kiss ass just to keep your job, and you go to the job and you have people there that you really don't like, and they don't like you, but you suffer through it. And I'm saying that if you're going through all of that, then you should not just put your children through the same thing. Dinus.
Oh no, I'm just looking to see what else we have in the chat room. Everyone, thank you for joining us. Make sure you hit that like button, please. We have 207 people watching, only 110 likes. Let's get that like button up. Devon Allen.
Okay, I wanted to say one thing.
Go ahead. The floor is yours. Go ahead.
I wanted to say this one thing about those people that are talking about the life in Africa. We Black Americans, we are very independent minded because of being constantly put into survival mode. And one of the things that would have to change in African Americans, both those that are in the United States and those who have come to Africa, is you have to have the ability to allow people to be your friend. You have to make friends and make as many friends as possible. This is the key for you getting a job. This is the key for you getting a business opportunity. The more people you know, the better off you're going to be when you come to Africa. So if you have this mindset of you know how it is. I mean, that's how many good, close, 100% close friends that you have that you can depend on, and and economically as well as just for support. They're very few, and the numbers are decreasing. So we're like, how many people can I depend on if I lost my job today? Would they let me stay at their house? Would I allow myself to let them do that? Susie could help me, but the other day when I bought my new car, I really threw it in her face. And I know she got mad about that, so I won't go to that one. Better let me get a tent and just go to the underpass and sleep there. Nobody will know. And then there you go. But this is from survival mode, which is brought into us in the United States. When you come to Africa, there is no real survival mode necessary. So you should be able to make friends, definitely. That is and never be biased towards Africans. If you come here talking about Africans are like this, I don't trust Africans. That is the most stupidest thing. Don't even waste your plane ticket money. You must not be biased towards African people. This is all programmed into your mind. The African people are the nicest people in the world. Everybody learned their manners from following the African way of life. His way of life was helped him defeat the European without having to go to war, to go to major war with the European. And economically, the European countries in France, United States, Britain, they're all suffering because the Africans just won't do business with them the way they used to. And the Chinese have been able to come in and take away a lot of the opportunities that the British and the Americans are just now beginning to understand. You know, unfortunately, when Queen of Soul died, around about that same time, Trump was in the Oval Office with, not the Oval Office, but in the White House with the president of Kenya. And the president of Kenya was looking across the table. Trump was talking, and then President Uhuru said, "We just here because we want to improve on our trade and opportunities in trade." He made it very clear to Trump that they ain't there for talking, picture taking, nothing like that. And the Kenyans brought a full delegation. And as you know, in the diplomatic circles, you have to match diplomat with diplomat. So the United States had to match each diplomat that the Kenyans brought. They sit on this long table. And Trump is there right across from Uhuru. And he's saying about how the United States is working with working with Kenya over military aid. Yeah, they come here and they sell guns. They showcase guns to Kenya. But the Chinese are also doing that. And Russia is also doing that. So Kenya will not lose if America. And Uhuru is saying, leave about the military thing. Let's talk about trade. Let the Kenyan businesses. The trade deficit the trade is still imbalanced towards Africa and the United States, as it is in China. But China is now opening up. In fact, the president of China got on TV and said, "We are allowing African countries to come and do business in China. We welcome you." You see? And I want to point this out again. Sorry, I don't want to take too long.
No, take your time, bro. Take your time.
These people that are talking about America and African having they have the wrong mindset about the African. They have this old propaganda idea that the African is begging the United States, and that the United States, that Africans need the United States. Africa no longer needs the United States people. If America withdrew everybody that they had and all that, the Chinese business for business. And I want to remind you that when President Obama came to Kenya, the night before, look it up on your Google, the night before Obama landed in Kenya, the Chinese delegation went to State House, that's the Kenyan White House, met the president and just simply told him, we will be doubling our business trade with Africa, with Kenya, starting now. Then they just walked out and faced Uhuru. You know, he didn't need him because the Chinese had came and said, we are going to double our business with you. And thus came the thicker highway, the outer ring overpass, and the high-speed railway network came right after that. Uhuru was invited to Beijing, went to Beijing, and came back with multi-billion-dollar contracts with Kenya. So what did the U.S. do? When Raila went to the United States and stayed there for 6 months, he came back from the United States and had a new hat. That's the only thing. He didn't come with no new deals from the U.S. He spoke at some colleges and made a little money for himself. But as people came back, he just gave a speech. That was it. It's a new time. It's a new day. Africans, you need to rethink your understanding of what the Africans are doing. Sure, you're going to have Africans coming to America, yes. But they ain't the same Africans as before. The Africans that are coming to the U.S. today are mostly middle class and upper middle class Africans who can afford to go to America just to see. The parents just want to get rid of their child and they hope. But most of those people are coming back, and they're coming back disappointed with America. The majority of the Kenyans that go, they're becoming disappointed with America, and they're coming back on their own. Okay, Dennis.
Okay. All right, brother. Okay, last question, Raw. What about Black Americans who say, well, Africa hasn't done nothing for Black Americans. Africa didn't send huh?
I'm sorry?
I said, what about those?
Repeat that.
The Black Americans who say You know, I'm not
Yeah.
with Africa. I'm not fucking with Africa because Africans haven't done nothing for Black Americans. Africa didn't send out one rescue ship for the slaves. Like, we'll be responsive to people who think like that.
Okay, first of all, when they start talking about that and they talk about the Africans was trade, that is total bullshit. Think about it. You in the 13, 14, 1500s. White people are coming to your land. Now, do white people lie? That's the number one. That's the number one weapon in white people. Caucasians, they lie. So they can tell these African leaders anything. The African leaders were not getting on the ships, flying, going to America, and then coming back and saying, "This is what I saw." They knew nothing about what those people getting on the ships was going to. Africans was being told things and make the Africans get on the ship because they're thinking they're gonna come back. You get what I'm saying? And when they didn't come back, Africans started now running away from whites. Go to West Africa, and there are many kingdoms that were of that day built wall, blocked the Mzungu from coming into their land, stopped the white people from coming into their lands. You know, took a long time before Shaka Zulu allowed the whites to even get into the interior of Zululand. You see, so that's one thing. And the second thing is you cannot look at this thing as what the African gonna do for me. You get what I'm saying? You can't look at it like that. Like I said, you cannot be biased towards the African. You know, here is the African saying, he see you. Go look at the South African Julius Malema. He was on video talking about the African Americans being shot and killed over there. You see? Now here is the African, he done defeated the white man in his countries. He running these countries now. I know you still people, you know, even 2 years ago, you people was talking about the white man still running African countries. You see that done got quiet because you know that ain't true. Now here he is, he done defeated the white man, and the white man is now coming back to African countries talking about doing trade. They see the African getting on TV telling them, oh, we're going to take our land back, whether you like it or not. And Mugabe did it, and they said, and Kenya did it, and South Africa is doing it. White people have no power to stop that. They don't have the numbers. You understand what I'm saying? So they don't owe African Americans anything. They fought the same white man that you living with today. And today the African, he owns entire country. He runs governments. He knows how to run. He's running governments. He got standing military armies, navies, and Marine Corps, generals. They got World Bank, Central Bank. They got all type of bank. They know banking. What do black men in America know? What do he have? You understand what I'm saying? Blacks got, these Africans got chains of supermarket. I'm walking in them. This supermarket is owned by an African. And it's just looking just like Ralph's Market and those other ones, Kmart. I don't know if they're still there. So you get what I'm saying? And it kills me when you try to come and say that the African owe you something. Here he is. He don't need you, Black Americans, poor ass people. He's sufficient. He's done his job. He's doing things, and he's reaping the rewards. You get what I'm saying? He don't need you, but he is saying, "My brother, come home." He is saying, "My brother, come home." And the African American is acting like he's not saying. Dennis, am I right or wrong? Are the African not telling us come home?
They are. They are.
Yeah.
But I think now, I think a lot of and this is the last question or last statement. You can respond. A lot of you know, there are some Black Americans who expect that there be some type of program where Africa will pay like a rite of passage, where an African country will pay for their airplane ticket back home and give them land and all that stuff.
Stay their ass in the United States. If you got that kind of mentality, Stay your ass right where you are. You understand what I'm saying to you? Because your ancestors were made free in the United States, and they had a fucking choice right there to go to the pier and get on a boat and get back to Africa. But instead, they went to look for their relatives, and then from there, then when they thought they was gonna get 40 acres in the around, and they were lied to. And then they had children, and then the children wanted to be free. And when they went for a job, the white man put them under Jim Crow, and so they was lied to. Then they went for Reconstruction after they got into politics. After the blacks got into politics, they were doing good. Then Reconstruction came and kicked them all out. And then they went out on their own and started to have their own land, tried to have their own, keep to themselves, blah, blah, blah. Then the white man came and burned down your Black Wall Street in your face, bombed it from the air. You stayed anywhere. And then Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks, she sat on the bus and we gonna want to be with white people. We get the right, we want the rights like every white person. And then and you stayed. And you're now realizing that economically you done did everything you possibly could with this guy. And you still ain't got but 0.1% of American wealth. So what you gonna do? There's only one alternative left. You done rioted, you done picketed, you done sat in, you done joined the man's army, you done did all this thing, and you turn around and he still treat you like shit. The only one thing you have not done, the only thing that the white man feared more than anything is for you to give him the finger at the airport as you walking on that goddamn plane. Fuck America. I'm out. You see, I'm tired of the bullshit. I'm gone. He has no excuse for that. He has no recourse for that because he done labeled America the land of the free. But if he won't let your ass leave, then that's bullshit. You see what I'm saying? That's nonsense. And if you got a felony on your record, now they're going to stop you from getting a passport. They got all tricky ways. They're keeping you in there. They're locking you in. You think that the wall that Trump is talking about building Mexicans out? No, buddy, they got a plan for your ass. And when you run into the Mexico, that wall going to be right there looking at you in the face. You can't leave because you owe. See? You owe money, or you owe child support, or you owe a debt to society, or you can't leave because you got 3 strikes. Yeah. It's all around you. You're just not talking to each other because you're in survival mode. But if you all came together and sat down and told those stories, it'd be like a black horror show. What each one of us are going through, but we're keeping it to ourselves. And I say the only way out from all of this is to get on a plane. And that way, all 99% of your problems in America would end instantly. And like me, and like every black person that lives here has told me, you'll say, I don't know why I didn't leave. I don't know what the hell I was staying there for in the first place. You see? So that's my last point on the issue of that one.
Okay. And then last question, I promise. I know you got to head to Nairobi. Holub Citizen wants to know, which one is it? Africa doesn't need you, or brothers and sisters come to Africa? Because you mentioned that how Africa doesn't need Black Americans, but Africa wants Black Americans to come home. Can you? I guess some people are confused on that statement about that statement.
I didn't say. I didn't say that the African wanted the African American to come home. The average African don't know nothing about an African American. Let me repeat that. Besides what they see on TV, 90% of Africans never even know what an African American looks like. I have a great responsibility on me as an African American here, and I take it very seriously. So when I walk around and when I deal with Africans, I know that they look at me and they see I'm the representation of what Black people are. So I make it a point to make myself look good so that the African can now trust other African Americans that come. You understand what I'm saying to you? So if I borrow money from someone, then I pay it back. If I do business with someone, I try to make the deal. I follow through with my point of the deal. If somebody is disrespectful towards me, I try to go through the way to solve whatever the issue might be. You understand? Because I'm thinking of this person is dealing with me. He don't know me like me. He just see African American. When he go around and discuss the deal that we made. He's going to not say Rahh. He's going to say the African American guy is this and way. How was he? He was good. He was fair. You see, and that permeates for other African Americans to come through. You see, so we don't need the fools to come here and then be talking like they think they better than the African. They are not, and the African know you poor. You see, he do not need you. He do not know you. The nature of the African. When you come, you will not be rejected. You will not be looked at sideways. You will be welcomed into the home, fed, housed, taken care of, respected. You see, and we should not take advantage of that. But as far as you think you somebody because you got some records and some sports figures, that you fooling yourself. You know, America is treating you like shit for a reason because they can get away with it. And you need to realize that you don't have to take that. You got a homeland and your people there saying, "Come home, brother." There's only 40 million blacks and there's like a billion African people. Are you joking? You know, but if you come into modern Africa, you got better odds. But you must see how brainwashed you are. You must see how brainwashed. You must understand that the greatest fear of the white man in America is for blacks to walk out of the country en masse. May never happen, but that is their greatest fear. And if you look and wind down all the things you've done in America, if you just got up and said on national TV, and if 5 black men, one, Bill Cosby or some matter being mistreated the way I have my family, they killed my son, they killed my daughter, I'm out. I'm moving to Africa. You see all that happened to Dave Chappelle, what's his name? Dave Chappelle when he came to South Africa. White people almost lost a fit. He even got on TV with Oprah because he went to Africa as a solution, and they had to pay him money to make him come back. Because if he would have stayed in Africa and never came back to the United States, that would be a conversation blacks would be having even to this day. And man, fuck it, if they treat me bad, I'm moving to Africa. And this is what we need to do. This is what our black leaders need to be talking about. That option should be on the table. If you mistreat black people in America, we will leave and take our music and take our art and take our talents with us where they will be appreciated and not stolen and then said some white man was the one who created it or designed it.
With that being said, brother, we'll go ahead and close out. Anything else you'd like to share in closing? And everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Everybody that super chatted, thank you for the super chats. Also hit that like button as we close out. So, brother Amenkrahh, go ahead and close out.
My last thing. Yeah, I can be found on African Black Men's Guide to Moving to Modern Africa on Facebook. That's where I do most. I don't do Twitter and those things like that. But also, I just wanted to say that I have a major advancement with a company that I'm running here, and I was paid some good money to run the program in Nairobi. I'm going out there now, and the future's looking really good with the program. We're looking for salespeople now to help move the program out. Can't do anything with a program if you don't have a sales team. And I'm at the point of developing that sales team. Now, this is a project I brought from my memory 6 years ago. It was just a thought in my mind. And here today, where I'm seeing money in my wallet, my M-Pesa, because people are buying the actual program that we developed. And this is something that is great. I look forward to expanding to all of the 22,000 primary schools in Kenya and the many more in East Africa. And this is what I can do, and without having to deal with racist white America, or thinking like the people are going to look at me because I'm black to decide if they're going to buy the product or not. So this is what, because somebody was saying, Amin, why are you still poor in Africa? I'm not poor by no means. Got a beautiful wife, very beautiful wife, and beautiful children. Got a beautiful home. Want to move to another big, beautiful home, and I have this opportunity because it's available in modern Kenya, and I'm taking advantage of it. I have other streams of income that have been giving me money for the last 20 years. I just left a martial art tournament here in Mombasa. Came here to the computer lab, talked with Dynas, then and I'm gonna catch a bus out to Nairobi and do that job in the morning. There is money to be made in Africa for those people that are entrepreneurs, and you know, you're just missing these opportunities. That's all I can say. I can't run through my life because, you know, they got haters out there and you got other people. I wish I could, but you know, where we are now, I have employees and I have other people that I'm responsible for, and I don't need that headache. And most of that bullshit would be coming from people that's in the United States. Imagine, because you never get that from Kenyans here, where they try to do me in because they want to just see. They believe that a black man should not rise, and you know, this is something that's waste for all of us. I wish I could talk about it, but later on maybe I can. But for right now, no, you're fooling yourself by staying in the United States, struggling with doing business in Black America, and they only own less than 1% of American wealth. Come to Africa where you have opportunity to get in on all of the wealth that's here.
All right, perfect. Well, Brother Rahh, as always, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you go to search for Uhuru on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and Facebook. Also go to searchforuhuru.com, dynasmirror.com, amazon.com. Please buy a book. Until next time, family, I might come back on later on today. Don't know yet. Peace.
Peace.